He's looking on Jerusalem continually. They are continually before him. And he's just waiting on that right time when he's going to be coming back. It says, "For the Lord shall comfort Zion. He will comfort all her waste places. And he will make her wilderness like Eden, and her desert like the garden of the Lord. Joy and gladness shall be found therein, thanksgiving and the voice of melody. Hearken unto me, my people, and give ear unto me, O nation, for a law shall proceed from me, and I will make my judgment to rest for a lot of the people. My righteousness is near, my salvation is gone forth, and mine arm shall judge the people, and the isles shall wait upon me, and on mine arm shall they trust. Lift up your eyes, O to the heavens, and look upon the earth beneath, for the heavens shall vanish away like smoke, and the earth shall wax old like a garment, and they that dwell therein shall die in like manner. But my salvation shall be forever, and my righteousness shall not be abolished." Everything comes to an end in life. You're going to have relationships with people. You're going to have friends. You're going to have work, jobs, vehicles, family members, the earth itself, the heaven itself. Everything's going to come to an end. But his salvation is forever. So we have to seek God and get in him and get his salvation so that we may dwell forever with him. Okay. "Behold, my servant shall deal prudently. He shall be exalted and extolled and be very high. As many were astonished at thee, his visage was so marred more than any man, and his form more than the sons of men. So shall he sprinkle many nations, and the kings shall shut their mouths at him, for which had not been told them, they shall they see, and they that which they had not heard shall they consider." This is Christ. He was marred, he was beaten, he was crucified. Yet his blood sprinkled many nations, because he has redeemed people. People's called on upon God and has salvation. It says, "Who hath believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He hath no form nor comeliness, and we shall see him. There's no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows, and acquainted with grief. And we hid as it were our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray, we have turned every one to his own way, and the Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed, he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is dumb, so he opened not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment, and who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living, for the transgressions of my people was he stricken. And he had made his grave with the wicked, and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him. He hath put him to grief, when thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin. He shall see his seed, he shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. He shall see the travail of his soul, and shall be satisfied, and by his knowledge shall my righteous servant justify many. For he shall bear their iniquities. Therefore will I divide him a portion with the great, and he shall divide the spoil with the strong, because he hath poured out his soul into death. And he was numbered with the transgressors, and he bare the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors." That is Christ. 700 years before he was born. He was talked about. He was prophesied. And their sin, Israel's sin, God hid his face from them. We sin daily. But God doesn't hide his face from us, because Christ was bruised for our transgressions. He was wounded for our transgressions and was bruised for our iniquities. And he made intercession with God for us. He came and he laid down his life. And nothing came out of his mouth. He was born. He knew his purpose, what he had to do, and he didn't. And he did it, and he didn't complain. There was no deceit came out of his mouth. Nothing. It pleased the Lord to bruise him. He put him to grief. He was the final offering, so that we may have intercession with God, so that we may have that inheritance with Israel. It says, "In a little wrath I hid my face from thee for a moment, but with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on thee, saith the Lord thy Redeemer." So it's only a period of time he has his wrath, that he hid his face from them. But he's going to turn to them again when they call upon him, and there's going to be a time when they're going to call upon him. Believe me, you. It says, "Seek ye the Lord while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near." And that's double. He's telling them to seek him now because they're about to go into captivity. But now here, you look today, we better seek him while he may be found, because there's going to be a time when he ain't going to be found. There's going to be a time when we can't call upon God. "For the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, my thoughts than your thoughts." So he's higher than us. We can't comprehend but so much. But he is everything, and we're nothing. It says, "And the sons of the stranger that join themselves to the Lord to serve him, and to love the name of the Lord, and to be his servant, everyone that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and taketh hold of my covenant, even them will I bring to the holy mountain, and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon mine altar, for mine house shall be called an house of prayer for all people. The Lord God which gathereth the outcast of Israel saith, Yet I will gather others to him besides those that are gathered unto him." That's for everyone that calls upon God. It says, "Violence shall be no more heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders. But thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise. The sun shall be no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee. But the Lord shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and thy God thy glory. The sun shall be no more go down, neither shall thy moon withdraw itself. For the Lord shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended. Thy people also shall be all righteous, and they shall inherit the land forever. The branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified." There will be no sun and no moon, because his glory and majesty will light up the whole earth. He says, "For as a young man marrieth a virgin, so shall thy sons marry thee. And as the bridegroom rejoiceth over the bride, so shall thy God rejoice over thee. For they are the bride." We are the bride. We're the bride of Christ. "For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered nor come into mind. But be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that hath not filled his days. For the child shall die in 100 years old, but the sinner, being 100 years old, shall be accursed. And they shall build houses and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. And they shall not build and another inhabitant, they shall not plant nor eat. For as the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble, for they are the seed of the blessed of the Lord, their offsprings with them. And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. The wolf and the lamb shall feed together, and the lion shall eat straw like the bullock, and the dust shall be the serpent's meat. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, saith the Lord. There's going to be animals there. You can pet a lion. You can pet a snake. They'll harm you no more. For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all the flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. You see that? The slain of the Lord shall be many. This is futuristic. This is coming. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abomination, and the mouth shall be consumed together, saith the Lord. For I know their works and their thoughts. It shall come that I will gather all nations and tongues, and they shall come and see my glory. I will set a sign among them, and I will send those that escape of them unto the nations of Tarshish, Pul, and Lud, that draw the bow, and to Tubal and Javan, to the isles afar off, that have not heard my fame, neither have seen my glory, and they shall declare my glory among the Gentiles. And they shall bring all your brethren for an offering unto the Lord out of all nations, upon horses, and in chariots, and in litters, upon mules, and upon swift beasts, to the holy mountain Jerusalem, saith the Lord. As the children of Israel bring an offering in a clean vessel into the house of the Lord, and I will also take of them for priests and for Levites, saith the Lord. For as the new heavens and the new earth which I will make shall remain before me, saith the Lord, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come and worship before me, saith the Lord. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me, for their worms shall die not, neither their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh. This is the future. This is what's going to happen. And you see that is a mention of hell. The worms will die not. The fire shall not be quenched. These are the people that's going to be in the lake of fire, along with the devil when he's cast into the lake of fire. When God does the final judgment on the earth, he'll create a new earth. We'll all dwell peacefully. The animals with us, everything. You know, our future, we all have a future. Some people's futures are bright, and some people's futures are grim. For it tells us to live for today, because we don't know what tomorrow may bring. You know, and when it comes to Bible prophecy, the way I look at it is I just want to live for today, enjoy what I have, enjoy my family, enjoy my friends, enjoy glorifying God, because I don't know what tomorrow may bring. But at the same time, when it comes to looking at Bible prophecy, you know, I would rather just glorify God and put trust in Him, you know, and just read the Bible and see what it has to say and share it. But at the same time, not try to figure out what the future holds, because we don't know. He says you don't know what tomorrow may bring. So when it comes to futuristic apocalypses and all that stuff, I don't know what's going to happen. And personally, I don't want to waste my time and mess my head up trying to figure out what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen and all this, when I know that the King is going to rule what he created. And we'll have no more pain and sorrow. Well, he's peacefully and to glorify him. But the thing is, to be able to do that, we've got to turn to him, to be redeemed and to have salvation. And salvation is not just a little quick prayer and not this and that. You got to trust in God and call on him. Realize you're nothing. Realize you're the lowest of the low. Your glory is nothing. Your honor is nothing. Your pride is nothing. And that he is everything. And that he is the true Redeemer. And he's the true living God. There's no other gods beside him. And, and that we need him. And just trust in him and call on him to help us and to save us and to deliver us from our destruction of our own selves and our future and stuff, that we may have a part of that inheritance of his reign, to be under him and glorify him. Because he was born for our, he was wounded for our transgressions and bruised for our sins and stuff. He took away our iniquities and stuff. His blood covered our sins. But we got to call on him to get covered in his blood so that we may, have intercession with God and have peace through this stressful life that we're in until he comes back to redeem us and to comes back to claim what's his. We got to have that peace, because this world's a messed up place. We got to have peace and have God in our lives, or we ain't going to make it. We got to have that covering of him to be able to endure this life. And I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. People think you got to look this way, you got to act that way to be saved, and you don't. You just got to call on God and trust him, and he'll direct our steps. You got to ask him for help and stuff. And just because you have a good attitude in life, you're a clean-cut guy, clean-cut gal, you got morals, that doesn't mean nothing. Morals don't get you into heaven, and morals don't get you saved to where you're covered by Christ's blood. You gotta have faith, and you gotta have salvation. Just because your works, you have good works, you do this, that don't mean nothing. You can't be saved by your works. You gotta be saved by faith, by his grace. And you got to trust in him to have faith. You got to trust in him, and he'll have grace on you if you call upon him. And it says, call on him while he's near, because there's going to be one day that he ain't going to be near here for you to call on him, and it's going to be too late. Because you don't know what tomorrow may bring. But if you're living today and you're breathing and you got the opportunity and stuff, and he touches your heart to call on him, it's good to call on him while you can, because there's going to be a time when you can't call on him. And it's going to be too late. Because he was born, he was prophesied 700 years before he was born. That's proof that he's real, that Jesus Christ was real. He is real. He defeated death, hell, and the grave, so that we may not face it. We're all going to die. That's one thing that every man has in common, is death. But after death is where we got the differences. Living on this earth, there ain't no man better than the other. There's, not one race better than the other. We should all have respect unto each other to have a peaceful life and to be happy. But then we all have one thing in common, and that is death. And we're all going to face it. But what sets us apart from other men is what happens after death. And there ain't nobody that can tell you what happens after you die, because there ain't nobody died and came back except for one. And that's one. And there's two men that hasn't seen death, so they don't even know what happens in death. So, trust in God. This is proof of what's going to happen in our future. He's going to reign. It's going to be peaceful. There's going to be streets of gold. Everyone's going to love each other, and everyone's going to trust in God and be his. He's going to be their father. He's going to be our shepherd. We're going to be his sheep. The main thing is to put our faith in him and to trust in him, because without him we're nothing. We're nothing but a worm. Not even a worm. We're not even good enough to be a worm compared to him. We're not even good enough to be dust compared to him. We got to trust in Him because He'll lead us and direct our paths and stuff.